Hey everybody, it's Jordan with Warpfire Minis, and it took a little longer to get this out than I wanted, but we're doing the Worlds recap video. Had a blast at the tournament, definitely the best Games Workshop event I've ever been to. Met a ton of nice people from all over the world, but let's just jump into the games. So we're jumping into round one, and I matched into Maggotkin. And it's funny, like right before I left the shop, I told the guys, we got to see our groups ahead of time. We could look at all the lists. And so this is the one list I saw in my whole group. And I said, if there's one person I want to dodge, it's this guy. And boom, round one, we got it. I'll run you through his list real quick. And some of the models we're using as proxies. But the main thing Maggotkin's doing right now is the Maggotkin. Boom. He's got an ability where if you're within 12 inches at the end of your own movement phase, he can attempt to charge, and then another unit can attempt to charge. So it makes battle tactics trickier, especially for me, since like I have to use the book tactics. So like I need to charge a hero and charge a battle line, and I need to retreat 2, charge 2, and he's going to take away my ability to charge, which is a bummer. Then the next part of his list that had me worried was there's 20 Warpfire Creed. We're using some Plague Bears just to fill out the squad, but a squad of 20 of those is just a serious threat that can kill pretty much anything I have. It's going to be 40 shots. They'll all attack to be on 3s. My saves aren't great. My bravery is bad. So like those guys, they can point at clan rats and just pick up most of them. They can point at one of my big rats, and if they spike, it's dead. So those are going to be a problem for me. He's got 3 squads of Plague Bears, which are just his battle line units. And the trick is that the Maggotkin can make those guys charge into me in my movement phase. And then he has the Sloppity Bile Piper, which can prevent you from piling into nearby demon units. And they can try and tag units in clever ways to where maybe you can only have one of your guys attacking, which would be a big deal on something like the Plague Sensor Bears, but not so much on the big heroes. After that, he has Orgots. And then we're proxying this Great and Cleveland over here. He's going to be Blowab. So he had 3 big monsters, plus 20 Warpfire Creed. So like 4 real serious threats, 3 really durable battle line units. Like Maggotkin, they've been struggling for a little bit, but with the Maggotkin coming back in, like they're doing well right now. So this was a matchup I didn't want, but we got it. And here we go. So to start out the game, he ended up outdropping me. My list is like 12 drops, so I got outdropped every single game. And in most games, they make me go first because they want to double me and win. So he made me go first. I'm looking at his deployment, and I know Maggotkin, all of his things are slow other than the big monster units. Like Blowab and Orgots, they're a little bit faster, but everything else is moving like 4 or 5 inches. So he deployed pretty far back, which means that I can get these clan rats up here on this objective, and it's going to be very difficult for him to take it turn 1. Then same idea over here. I've got these clan rats on, plus the hell pit on. It's going to be difficult for him to take this one. And so our plan is we're just going to sit on those 2 objectives, prevent him from taking one of those. So he's only going to score 1 objective in the middle. In his battle tactic, we're going to go up 2 points right out the gate. So this was at the end of my turn 1. We pushed the clan rats up. We got Screech behind. I put him in range of the hell pit, which I hold over here. I was fishing for a long bomb charge into the Warpfire. They're probably the thing I'm the most worried about. Like, I'm pretty good at a melee scrap, but shooting stuff just picks me apart. So it was not likely he makes it in, but it was worth trying. And the bigger reason was I went ahead and deep struck in the 10 Plague Sensor Bears with the Warp Grinder. And so I needed him to charge first. He's in range of a hero to try and reroll the charge. And then we get the 3rd attempt with the Plague Sensor Bears. But we fail the first charge, we fail the second charge, we fail the 3rd charge. We don't make it in. That's just how it shakes out sometimes. So we go into his turn, and I'll move some things around and show you what happened. So we go into bottom of 1, it's his turn, and what ends up happening is he pushes these Plague Bears up over this way and Blowab, doesn't take the objective, pushes some Plague Bears out over here to make a screen, doesn't take the objective. These guys come up, Maggotkin and Orgots right behind, and he takes the middle. So my plan worked. He only scores 3 points turn 1. Excellent start. The bad news for me is the Warpfire Creed, they're now behind these 10 Plague Bears, and they killed all of the Plague Sensor Bears. They did 40 shots, and I think 30 of them ended up wounding, so killed all the Plague Sensor Bears but 1 or 2, and then they fled from Bravery. So, not too bad. We got a big priority roll coming up. If I get the prio, like I can send the help hit in, and we'll be doing okay. All right, so here's where we're sitting, and I end up winning the priority roll, which is great news for me. For my turn, I end up charging the help hit in over here, trying to keep as many models outside of 6 from an Unleash Hell, so I don't take a ton of damage. But like, the 4 or 5 models that can shoot, they do shoot, and they end up doing like all of the wounds. I take like 9 damage or something crazy. Unfortunate, but just part of the deal. The Clan Rats, we run them, just move them out of the way for Screech. Screech moves his 12, goes around over here. We're going to charge, but he ends up charging in. The help is probably over here. We charge both these guys in just to make sure we clear these guys. And again, we're trying to keep him off the objective. And so I've got these 20 Clan Rats up on the objective. He can kill one of these guys, but he's not going to get enough bodies on to take it. Same story over here. We run these Clan Rats kind of just shifted around this outside edge, which makes room for the Plague Sensor Bears to go up, which we move up. Then we hit our charge into these Plague Bears. So we got 10 buffed up Plague Sensor Bears going in. They were able to stay outside of 3 inches of blow ab here as well, which just means like I'm going to kill these guys and not take any damage back, which is great. And very important, all this time, like I know the Maggotkin's ability. If you're within 12, you're in danger. So like I'm moving over here, being very careful. I don't want to be within 12. When I move Screech over here, I don't want to be within 12. So when you're in this matchup, you have to be very mindful of that or you will lose the game. So we're doing that. Here's run up. We send the Warbringer up this way, outside of 12. And we're going to get ready, kill those guys, blow up hits back, Warbringer's going to clap him back. Like we're in a good position. We go to combats. I fight with the Plague Sensor Bears first because they have a 6-up save. Like I don't want them to die. I have 2 inch reach as long as I have 10 models. So if one dies, I'm going to lose a bunch of attacks. We don't want that. So boom, we hit. Boom, we wipe out the Plague Bears. These guys are gone. He fights back into Screech over here. I put him into -1 to hit stance to make him very defensive. Ideally to live through a Rotmire Creed shot or Orgots if he comes over. So they hit in, I think the help hit just to do more chip damage. Hit a couple into Screech. We take minimal damage from Plague Bears. They're not awesome in combat. And we kill him back with Screech and the help hit. Then that ends up being the turn. We score max points. We had great combats. Things are still looking pretty good for us. All right, so bottom of 2, we're going to go over to his turn. And what he does is he moves these Rotmire Creed up just a little bit, shoots into the help hit, and kills him. But I roll the dice. On a 5 or 6, he stays alive. He stays alive. He heals like 2 wounds. Big swing. That's awesome. Orgots moves over this way and charges into Screech. Plague Bears are pushing down the middle. And the reason he's doing this, his grand strategy is he has to control a terrain feature at the end of the game. And it was this one. So he's just slowly creeping his way down this way. The Sloppity Biopiper went up with him. Maggotkin, he just moved. I think he ran, just rolled a low run. Moved him over this way. And Blowab shot into the Plague Sensor Bears, charged in and killed a few. Go to the combat phase. Orgots fights into Screech. I'm into my -1 to hit stance, so I think he does like 5 or 6 damage to Screech. Not too bad. For me, I pile in 3 inches this way. In a dream world, like, Orgots is hard to take down, Rotmire Creed or not, so I really want to fight them. So I pile in my 3, but I'm still outside of 3 inches of the Rotmire. I can't fight him this turn. So we dump everything in Orgots, don't really do much back. And then that's going to be the end of his turn. And again, he only holds 1, scores 3 points again. So like things are going good. All right, so then we roll off for round 3, and I get the priority again, and I take the turn. We're in a pretty good position here. I can send the Warbringer in. We can maybe get into this Rotmire this turn, so we're going to go for it. Since I didn't get within 3 of these Rotmire, the help hit's in a strange situation where he's got 2 wounds left. If I try to charge the Rotmire this turn, they're just going to unleash hell and he's going to die. Like, his coming back to life thing only happens once per battle, so I want to send him into the Rotmire, but I can't. So he's just going to sit there, stay on the objective, and kind of screen it out. Again, if I can keep him from scoring these objectives, like, that's just huge. So that's our game plan. That's what we're going to try and do. We go into movement. Clan Rats shimmy up a little bit. Not much. We're just trying to make room for this little Gracier. He runs, gets over here in his little cubbyhole. Warbringer, we're going to send him in straight over here into Blowab. With his Warpstone Charm, we're going to give it extra rend, so like if he doesn't do it, maybe the Plague Sensor Bears can clean him up. And it's going to put Blowab in a position where I'm going to do a ton of damage. Then he's going to have the choice. He can either try and hit my Warbringer back and let the Plague Sensor Bears kill him, or kill the Plague Sensor Bears and let my Warbringer live. So either way is a win for me. We're going to go in there. We're going to try and drop Blowab. Okay, so we make our charges in with the Warbringer. Boop. And then with Screech, I have to fight over here first. We need to kill Blowab to get all that damage in. So we fight, and we end up killing Blowab. Great news for us. He fights me back with Orgots, piles in a little bit, and fights me, and hurts Screech pretty bad. I think he's got like 3 or 4 wounds left. So it's my combat. I'm going to fight with Screech. And if I fight into Orgots again, I'm not going to kill him. He's going to heal. So I can pile into the Rotmire Creed. I went into my Rend 3, Damage 3 stance on my Glaive this turn to try and take out a big chunk of him. But my Glaive has a 3-inch range. My Plague Reapers only have a 1-inch. And so I go down and measure, and it looks like I'm going to be able to get within the inch, but it's pretty close. And as I go to move my model, my Glaive ends up catching Orgots and like bumps him pretty good. Since that happened, and it was going to be close, I told my opponent, I think I would have been able to get into the Rotmire Creed. I'm pretty sure. But since I bumped your model, like the right thing for me to do is I'll just say that I couldn't make it in since we don't know for sure. And so we've moved Orgots back. I piled up here, just staying outside of an inch since I bumped the model. And I put all my Glaive attacks into the Rotmire Creed, and then my Plague Reaper attacks into Orgots. And I end up killing only 2 Rotmire Creed, which is just a travesty. Like, with all the attacks, we should have taken out in like half the squad or more. Now we only killed 2. I do a couple damage to Orgots, but again, he's going to heal it. It doesn't matter. The Rotmire Creed end up piling in. From here, he ends up getting a double turn. So we're just going to go ahead and skip ahead to the top of 4. He ends up killing Screech at the bottom of the turn. And what he does, he just moves these Plague Bears further down. Again, just going for his grand strategy. The Rotmire Creed stay where they're at. Shoot the Hell Pit. Boom. Pick them up off the board. And Orgots comes down and fights these clan rats. Orgots fights into these guys and ends up killing enough of them to take the objective for the round. So I think he ends up killing this many of them. We got 3 left. We auto-pass the Bravery, but I only get 1 guy back. So his 5 out-trumps me. He takes the objective from me there. So he scores max, and things again like, now I've lost the Hell Pit, I lost Screech. Over here's looking pretty bad. Plenty of power on that side, but it's going to be tough to get back over. He's also summoning things in, so like he's probably got another 10 Plague Bears here on this center objective. That's going to make it very tough to take it back. And again, just makes his bid for his grand strategy a little bit stronger. So what I need to do this turn, I need to take this objective back from him to score max and be in a great place. So over here, the Warbringer comes down. We're going to try and make a play on this grand strategy stuff down here. Plague Sensor Bears, they're running over this way to set up a surround and destroy. Clan Rats are just hanging out on the objective. Heroes begin to disperse. So the plan over here is we're just going to retreat these Clan Rats out, leave them on the objective. Then we're going to scoot this Plague Priest guy way over there, keep him safe. And we're going to take this objective, score max, and we're going to be feeling good. And the exact position of the models, I don't know exactly. I think this guy was probably a little bit further up, and these guys were a little bit further up too. But what ended up happening is I retreated out 6 inches. And so I measure out 6 inches for the last guy, and I move him. And these other guys, when I'm moving a large unit, I don't sit here and measure out every single model that's going to move max 6. So like, he was up here, we're going to move him 6. I'm going to keep a general formation of the other ones. In this case, it's not super important, so I kind of just loosely move them like so. After I've moved this unit, and I have not done anything else, I'm just going to measure and check, like, make sure I got outside of 12 of the Glotkin. I have not moved within 12 inches of the Glotkin the entire game. The Glotkin has not fought the entire game. I know that the Glotkin is a bad time. Orgots is right here. He's going to come in and crush my dudes if I'm within 12. So I measure it out to make sure I'm outside of 12. And I'm outside. but it's very close. And so I take my hand and I just do a model like that just to show my opponent, like, look, I'm very clearly outside of 12. And he said to me, well, no, you've already moved 6. I said, no, I only moved this max guy over here, the last one, 6. And the other ones, I didn't move their full movement. So I had plenty of movement left. He said, no, you didn't. I said, well, yeah, I did. Like, here's where my guys were. And so I measured out like a maximum 6. Like, you can see I could get a whole nother inch. And he said, no, you weren't there. You were up here. And I said, well, I wasn't. But like, even from the point that you're choosing, like if I was here, I'm still outside of 6 of the Maggotkin. And so with my full 6-inch retreat movement that I can make, I'm going to be outside of 12, and it's okay. And he said, no, you weren't. Like, you moved your models. It's only the bump in your hand that did it. You've already moved your maximum 6. You can't do that. And at that moment, I had to make a choice. I could call a judge over, and I could make a scene, and we could say that it's my word versus your word. But I told my opponent, like, look, man, like, I'll show you the measurements again. Like, this is where they were, and I measured it out. Like, even from the spot you chose, it would be from this distance. And no matter what, like, I was outside of 12 to begin with, but I had plenty of movement to be outside of 12. But you're my opponent. Like, I'm not here to cheat anyone. Like, I'm going to defer to you and let you make the decision. Like, here are the measurements, everything I can show you, and it's up to you. It's your call. And he said, well, sorry, mate. You were definitely within 12, and that's where we left it. And what that did to me was, now the clan rats are going to die. I'm not going to take this objective, and that's going to make the game very tough for me. So what I can do, I can either let these clan rats die for free, or I can jump them into this gnaw hole, which definitely gets me outside of 12. And then we'll try and live another day, do something else with the clan rats. So we jump them into the gnaw hole, we pop them out way over here, just get more bodies on the objective. We'll make a play with the other clan rats later on in the game or something, but it felt bad. Like, I'm an honest person. I play the game the right way. Like, when I bumped his model, I deferred to him and said, we'll just play it safe and say I couldn't make it. But he doesn't know that. He doesn't know who I am. Like, you never know someone's circumstances. Maybe that's happened to him a lot in games. So I'm always going to do the right thing. The right thing was just let him make the call, and he did. So I ended up only scoring 3 this round, and that's going to put me on my back foot. We roll for a big priority roll, and he gets it. If he had won the priority roll, then I could have just scooted my foot hero into that gnaw hole, jumped away, scored my grand strat, and won the game. He comes down in his turn and kills my hero, denying my grand strategy, kills another foot hero some kind of way throughout the course of the game where I fail my grand strategy. I ended up losing the game by 2, so like the objective thing was pivotal. Losing my hero was pivotal. Kind of just after this happened over here, I got a little bit razzled. Looking back, like, I maybe could have not hold my hero to the other side of the board to keep it safe. And maybe that would have, like, maybe I could have scored my grand strategy then. But overall, like, I played a real good game. I felt good about it till right there at the end. And sometimes games just get away from you. That's okay. We've got a lot more games to play, so we're going round 2, jumping into Khorne. All right, so we're going into round 2, and this time we had Blades of Khorne. And this one was a really cool list with things that I had never seen before. So just walking through his list, he had a Bloodthirster of Unfettered Fury, Scarbrand, 10 Blood Warriors, 10 Skull Reapers, and he had 2 units of Claws of Karanak. I don't have those models, so we're just using Blood Reapers. And then he had 2 Slaughter Priests. One was a Slaughter Priest, one was a Realm Gore Ritualist. They both do about the same thing. And then a Bloodsecrator. And what's cool about this list is the 10 Skull Reapers do 1,000,000 damage. And the Unfettered Fury, he gets to pick a unit and give them a 3d6 charge. But being in a Skullfiend tribe, it lets it to where if one of your mortal units makes a charge roll of 8 or more, they get to fight first. And so if you're fishing for an 8 on 2 dice, sometimes you'll get it, sometimes you don't. But the Unfettered Fury giving them the 3d6, like, you're almost every time that unit's going to be fighting first, which is awesome. The other cool thing about it is the Bloodsecrator. Whenever he issues a rally to a mortal unit, they rally back on a 4-up. So these guys, it's 10 guys, 3 wounds each, so that's 30 wounds on a 4-up save. He's normally going to put Bronzed Flesh on them, so they've got +1 to their save. You can all-out defense again. So not only do they do a lot of damage, They are pretty tanky as well, and you can rally back to have some good recursion. On them and the Blood Warriors too, they have a 3-up save. They don't do as much damage, but just a hardy unit for hanging out, rallying back, and getting that fight first as well. So for the table state, I fast-forwarded to the bottom of 1. He ended up going first. He just put the Claws of Karanak on these 2 objectives, pushed up this way, and just scored max points and kind of got himself in a decent position. In my turn, we were deployed in the corners on this one. So I pushed some clan rats up, built a little screen for these Plague Sensor Bears. We're going to try and get the double turn, push these up, and then boom, collapse onto those Skull Reapers. Screech was over here in the back of the board. We wheeled him around. He's going to go kill these Claws of Karanak to take this objective. I had enough clan rats to make a run roll to take this objective from these. So we're going to get our 1-2 more there is great. Then the kind of risky plays I made, whenever I'm going second in the round, it's a good chance for me to go for my skitter leaps or to go for my deep strikes on the Plague Sensor Bears. Because with my 3 charge rolls, I've got a pretty good chance of making the charge anyways. But now I have the added benefit of we're going into a priority roll next. If I win that priority roll, even if I fail here, like I can boom, go up the next turn and get them. So I end up skitter leaping the Warbringer over here. We're going to try and make a play onto Scarbrand. Then I also deep struck in the Plague Sensor Bears here. And this has given me 2 points of power pointing at these Skull Reapers. So even if I lose the turn, he's going to either push down here into these guys, and then these ones are going to go through. Or if he wants to hit this screen, then I've got 2 units coming in. Or if he even wants to go over here and make a play on Screech, I still have these guys ready to counterpunch no matter which way he goes. So this was at the end of the movement phase. We deep struck in, did the skid leap. So we go for our charges, and we hit it. Warbringer makes the charge into Scarbrand. Screech ends up making his charge into the Claws of Karanak. Over here, we didn't really want to make the charge. We just kind of wanted to hunker down on this objective. And then my Plague Sensor Bears, they failed the charge into the Skull Reapers. But the Warbringer into Scarbrand, that was the big one. That's a pretty big swing right there for me right out the gate. So we started fighting there first. The Warbringer does a ton of damage and drops Scarbrand, boom. For my bottom of 1, that's the dream scenario. We did that, that's great. Claws of Karanak hit Screech, do a few damage. Screech kills them back. So bottom of 1, that's the best thing we could hope for. Looking good. We go for that priority roll though. I don't get the double turn. He gets the priority, and I'll show you how that shakes out. So we're going into Khorne top of 2, and this was the mission where you have the squall going on, which means units can't fly, and that you can't see each other if you're outside of 12. And that was important because this Bloodthirster couldn't fly round 1. Going into round 2, I have to roll a dice as the player going second, but I roll a 6, which means the squall goes away. And that's going to let his Bloodthirster fly, hop right over top of these guys, and then boom, hit my Warbringer. So I had Mystic Shielded him last turn. I Finest Hour because I know that's coming, and we're going to try and hang on. So we just jump straight into his movement phase. The Bloodthirster does jump over. The Skull Reapers, they move down, just go moving over here towards Screech. He's going to make a play on Screech. That way, if he kills Screech, he's going to take that objective away from me, so he can score max. The Claws of Karanak over here in the corner, they just ran over here. He's probably setting up a surround and destroy for later, so he's just getting them off the objective in a way, trying to say, I'm probably not going to go chase them down in the corner because it's not very important. And then the Blood Warriors, they've just moved over, kind of made a screen, protecting his heroes and also keeping the Hell Pit and those clan rats away from this center objective. And then the heroes just moved up just slightly. He left the Slaughter Priest in the garrison in the Skull Altar. And then we're just going to go straight to the charge phase. The Unfettered Fury charges in. He's got the King of Blades, which turns off all my wards. But with the Finest Hour and Mystic Shield, I should be okay with the Warbringer. Skull Reapers, they got the 3d6 charge from the Unfettered Fury, so they do hit the 8-up, which means they're going to fight first. Which means that these guys are going to get to fight, and that Bloodthirster is going to get to fight. I'm not going to get a chance to try and kill anything in between. So they scoot in. And we go to combats. The Skullreapers have to fight first. They very, very easily kill Screech. The other things they do to this unit, they've got a Prayer Unholy Flames, which gives them an extra point of rend. And then they do Mortal Wounds in addition, and yada yada. Just whatever they touch is going to die this game. I kind of knew that from the get-go. But the Unfettered Fury swings into the Warbringer. He roared me, so I couldn't all-out defense to be +3. But I'm +2. I'm saving on 4s. He hits almost all of his attacks. I fail almost all of my saves. And the Warbringer dies as well. It's an extra bummer I couldn't get Death Frenzy off in my turn. Otherwise, he would have just fought right back and killed that guy. So losing both bigs, kind of a bummer. But we're going to go into Skaven bottom of 2 and see what we can do. So Skaven bottom of 2, I got some decisions to make. I'm looking at these Skullreapers, and they're getting on a 4-up save. They did get Bronze Flesh, so it's a 3-up. They're going to all-out defense and stay on the 3s. So I'm looking at these 10 Plague Censer Bears I could throw into there, and I could kill some of them, but I'm not going to kill the squad. Then they're going to hit me back and kill all of my guys. And the bummer there is with the Blood Secrator, he's going to be able to rally them back on 4-ups. So however many I kill, he's going to get half of them back, and my guys don't come back to life. So I decided I'm just going to kind of play it safe. We're just going to go for points. And so what we end up doing is we just push these clan rats up onto the objective. And we actually use these ones to fan out and make a screen this way. We did this with a run roll. And then we got enough of these other ones in the back just up on the objective to make sure we take it. So that's going to give me 1. I've already got this one over here, so we're going to get our 1-2 more, which is great. These Plague Censer Bears, I decide I'm going to push them over here towards this gnaw hole. And we're just going to get out of the way. The Skullreapers, I'm leaving it to where he's going to have to hit this screen and not hit my good stuff this turn, which is fine. Before I moved to these guys, I ran this guy up here on the objective. He's not going to do anything, but it's going to make it to where if these guys leave the objective, my guy's going to take it. So he's going to have to either leave some bodies on or go in and kill this guy, which wastes a whole round of their combat. These Plague Censer Bears, we end up running them up behind. Just getting ready where he's going to have to punch the screen and kill it. Then my guys are going to be able to counter punch him right back. We position our heroes up behind, just getting ready for like good support prayers and potentially a blizzard. And then clan rats on this side, we just run them up. We're trying to get away from the Bloodthirster over there. I just want, this objective is mine. I just want to hold it for as long as I possibly can. The Claws of Karanak in the corner here, they don't do enough damage to clear 20 clan rats. They're going to be safe all game right there. As long as the Hell Pit, he moves up, we're going to send him into those Blood Warriors and clear that. And then it's going to leave him with most of his power on these, like right here, this one Bloodthirster. But I'm going to have that one pretty safe, and then I got good momentum here where I can keep making plays on the middle to keep scoring. And a movement, we do the hop through for the Gnawholes. And we're just setting up a second wave of counter punch right here, over by this Gnawhole. Charge Phase, Hell Pit makes it in. And good news, in combat, the Hell Pit clears all 10 Blood Warriors. Blood Warriors there have a very good save on a 3-up, but the Hell Pit, whenever he charges, and just regular combat too, but he's got an ability called Avalanche of Flesh, where I get to roll a dice for each model within 3 inches of him in that unit. So 10 dice, and for every 2-up, it does a mortal wound. And then the turn I charge, I get to re-roll that as well. So 3-up saves are great, but when I'm doing 10 mortal wounds just to start the combat, that's wiping out half the squad. I've only got to do 10 damage, and he can do that. So killed that, still great turn. We're going into another priority roll. We go into that priority roll, and I win the priority. I've got all the objectives right now, so I'm going to take the turn. Hell Pit rolled the low move, moved there. Little support here has just moved up onto the objective. This squad of Plague Censer Bears, I could put them behind here just for a counter punch, but I end up moving them back, and I send them through the Gnawhole at the end of the movement phase over this way. The theory here is that I want this objective to be safe. I've got this screen set up, so I want to try and pull, if these guys make a charge this way, it's pulling them out of the rest of the game potentially. And so I don't want to make the charge here because I'm going to have to fight into this Bloodthirster first. So this is just putting down these down here to make him think about it. And then if he pulls that way again, now I've got more bodies coming onto this objective, which I feel pretty good about. We go to the charge phase. Help It rolls a really low charge, only makes it into the Slaughter Priest, but the Plague Censer Bears make it in. This is the one we wanted. If we kill this Bloodthirster here, we are in great shape for the rest of the game. So combat, we fight with these Plague Censer Bears, and again, it's 50 attacks, 3s, rend 1, 2 damage. Into a Bloodthirster, he's got 16 wounds on a 4-up save, but he's Finest Houred, and I didn't factor in the Unfettered Fury gives them also -1 to hit. So this went from a combat that in my head, it's like for sure the Bloodthirster's going down, like I'm doing way above average damage for what it needs to kill it, to with the -1, like it's gonna be really close. And I swing and I don't kill him. I leave him on, I think, 1 or 2 wounds. So like I needed one more attack to go through, and it just didn't. And what that means for me is the Bloodthirster hit back and killed all of them. Help It fights. I split attacks trying to kill both heroes, but we only end up killing the Bloodsecrator, which is good. Like that stops the rallies and stuff for later on, which is nice. But that ends up being my turn. The Censer Bear's not killing the dude. That sucks, but we still score max. Like we're still sitting okay. We go into his turn. He flies the Bloodthirster over here. Skull Reapers. He's getting away from these 10 Plague Censer Bears. Since he killed all of those, like that was my big source of damage in the middle. So he's just going to move away from these guys and start pushing towards where I have no damage left. So he pushes these guys over this way, hits the charge. He ends up rolling the 8 to fight these guys first anyways. I think they were out of range of the Unfettered Fury, but he got it. So we go to combats. He blows up all these clan rats. And the Bloodthirster fights in the Hell Pit, kills him. I roll the dice to stay alive, and I don't. So Hell Pit is gone. He'd also moved this Slaughter Priest down onto the objective, also retreated this guy out. Just make sure he took the objective from me. The good news at the end of the turn is he only holds the one objective, so I got a couple points ahead there, which is nice. But we're going into another priority roll, and boom, he gets the double turn on me, which that's a bummer. With the double turn, he pushes down the Bloodthirster over here. He knows my grand strategy is to keep these little hero guys alive, so he's going to come down and try and kill a bunch. Skull Reapers move down this way. He knows that these are the only damage I have left, so he's going to hit a charge in and blow those guys up. 2 heroes just stay on the objective, and the Claws of Karanak, they're still like running around over there in the corner. I don't know exactly what the purpose of them was at this point. I think he already scored Surround and Destroy, but I think it was just something to like, maybe I pull over that way to try and chase him down, but I'm not going to. Charge phase, he charges in. And the Skull Reapers make it in as well. And when he moved this Bloodthirster down, I had redeployed my Greyseer just to try and keep one of them alive. And so we go into combats. He knows that the Plague Censer Bears can hurt the Skull Reapers. He didn't hit the 8-inch charge this time, so he fights here first. Splits attacks to kill the drill. And then he only ends up killing like 3 or 4 of the Plague Censer Bears. We'll say 4. Which is good news for me. I hit back and I kill like 3 or 4 of the Skull Reapers, which is a great trade. Especially now with the Bloodsecrator dead, he's not going to rally him back. But when he fought there first, Skaven heroes, we can retreat out of combat, so it let me retreat out 6 and get safe. So I'm only going to lose 1 foot hero when the Bloodthirster fights. But he scores max points. I don't have a lot of things left, so it's going to get tight. We go into my turn. I end up getting Prayer off, do some mortal wounds to these guys. I end up hitting a Blizzard, do some wounds to these guys. Bravery, I had lost all but 1 of these Plague Censer Bears last turn. But between the spells, I end up killing the rest of the Skull Reapers, which is huge. I end up running these guys over here, just getting away from the Bloodthirster if I can. And again, Clan Rats are just hanging out. We score max, great turn. Go into priority. So I don't remember exactly what happened. I think I won the priority roll. I pushed on, just scored objectives, but I didn't have a battle tactic I could achieve. And the game ends up coming down to, in the bottom of 5, he's got the 2 Slaughter Priests. He needs to roll a Blood Sacrifice and get the Prayer, which he does. he needs to do 3 mortal wounds to himself to kill his own Slaughter Priest in order to get a Blood Tithe point, which he does. Then he needs to get a pretty good Murderlust roll to move in order to score the Surround and Destroy, which is why he kept those Claws of Karanak alive, by the way. So he gets the pretty good move for the Murderlust roll. And then it comes down to he still needs to roll a run roll in order to get into range. And he needs to roll a 3 up on the run in order to get in range of the board edge. Rolls it and ends up getting that too. And he ends up winning by 1 point. Because I didn't have that battle tactic to score. We both were going to get our grand strategies. And he got the chain of things there. And so that's how it shook out. Like, it wasn't an impossible chain of events to happen. Like, he had to get the prayer, then do the 3 mortal wounds, and then hit the 3-up run. And a pretty good Murderlust roll in between. So things just shook out that way. He got it. And I had a great time. Great opponent. Like, sometimes you lose games, and that's fine. We're 0-2. We're going to move into day 2 and just hope things go a little bit better. Next game up is Bonereapers. So we're going into day 2, and we really need to get a win. We match into OBR, and this time it's Null Myriad. And looking through his list, he had the Gothazar Harvester with 30 more tech. He had Catacross, a squad of 6 Immortus Guard. And so just a very durable list. And this one, I knew it was just going to be a really tight game. With all those units, it's hard to take them out all the way. So I really had to focus in multiple units on one unit to make sure I kill it so it doesn't just come straight back to life. And then the Immortus Guard, I ended up making a big blunder on those guys where they charged into Screech and I failed my Roar. And then I forgot that they could fight me twice. And so I left Screech in combat where I could have retreated out. And that made the game a lot tighter than it needed to be. Then to make a long story short, at the very end of the game, it came down to I needed to score Magical Mayhem for my battle tactic to win the game by 1 in round 5. And he had a squad of Immortus Guard that had 6 or 7 wounds left, but they were out of range of their hero for the Null Myriad, Ignore. So I had a couple Primal Dice, we rolled it, we got the Blizzard, we killed him, and we win the game by 1. Super tight, and like if I didn't make that big blunder with Screech, things would have been a little bit easier, and maybe there would have been a bigger gap, but got a win. It felt awesome. I didn't being 0-3 would have been a bummer, but one thing that helped me feel slightly better is when you looked at the names on the list, there were a lot of big names who were also like 0-2 at that point or 0-3. So got 1 win under my belt. We're going to jump into the next game. It's game 4. We rolled into Gitz. As always, we start looking at the list, and he had 3 squads of 10 Boingrot Bounders, a couple sneaky Snufflers. He had a Madcap Shaman was his general. And that one, it's really weak, but he had it deployed in the back corner and then had it screened out well where I could just never get to it with my teleports. And it had the Clammy Hand, which let him bring back 2 units at the end of his turn. And that came in big. And this one, I didn't film it out, just it was a pretty simple story. He made me go first. Then he's got 3 squads of 10 Boingrots. He charged them all in with the run and charge. They hit my screens, blew them up. He got the double turn, crashed in again, blew up a bunch of my stuff. I killed a couple units, which felt great. Then I double turned him back, so like, we got a game. Kill 2 or 3 more units. I'm scoring good points, like we're still scoring max. Then it goes to his turn, and then he double turns me again. And through those 2 turns that he just got in a row again, he brought back all of the units that I had killed. And it just made it to where there were too many bodies on the objective. And this was the mission where you're taking objectives off the game, or off the board. And so there wasn't that many objectives towards the end, and he just had too many bodies for me to get on and take the objectives away. And all things considered, like getting double turned twice and bringing back all his units, I lost the game by 1, so it was a really, really good game. And probably one of the most fun games I had where things were just going back and forth with him doubling, I doubled back, then he doubled me again. Really good game, but we're 1-3. Game 5, I matched into Cody Saltz, who is a Florida guy. He comes in for our turnips and stuff. And although I've seen him a bunch of times, this was the first time we ever actually got to play a game, which was really cool. And he was playing Seraphon. It was the Lord Croak, Slon, some Saurus Guard, a squad of Raptidon Chargers, a Bastillodon, and then some Skinks. And into this matchup, my grand strategy is I have to keep the little foot hero guys alive at the end. And Seraphon, they just deny that. So I know going into the game, I'm down 3 points. I'm going to have to play a little bit risky, make some big plays, like get into Croak in the Slaw, kill him to maybe prevent that from happening. But the longer the game goes on, the more likely I am to fail my grand strat and the game. So we ended up, turn 1, I put Screech out front to try and bait him into going first, and he did. He took the first turn, which is great. Because I know if I can get a double turn, I can crash into his screens, blow them up, and then boom, I'm into Croak and the Slan. And then, like, we've got a good chance to win the game. But I don't know the odds on this, but he buffed up the squad of 5 Raptidon Chargers, and I think he did a spell to hero phase move them, and so they managed to get into Screech. And he had to put 1 on an objective where he couldn't get into attack range of Screech. And I did that on purpose because I know that they have to touch it to get a bonus attacks. And so then for my Monstrous Rampage, I stomp 1 to death. So it's just 3 Raptidon Chargers attacking Screech. I all-out defense, and the 3 Raptidon Chargers kill him. And just what just happened? My Hell Pit was right there in combat as well, so I killed him right back. But boom, loses Screech, turn 1, bummer. But we still got a chance. So my turn, I push up into his skink screens. I kill him with the Warbringer, kill him with the Hell Pit. I deep strike in the 10 Plague Sensor Bearers in the back corner where they can make a charge into Croak. Fail the charge. But that's okay. Big priority roll coming up. If I get the priority, PCBs crash in, Warbringer crashes in, Hell Pit crashes in, we win the game, it's over. Don't get the priority. And it goes to his turn. He can summon in skinks with his points that he gets for casting spells and stuff. And so he ends up just summoning skinks in front of the Warbringer and the Hell Pit. Kills the Plague Sensor Bearers. So it goes to my turn. I kill the skinks. Same thing happens. We're going to a priority roll. If I can get it, I'm crashing into Croak and the Slan. We win the game. Fail the priority roll. And rinse and repeat. That was the game. He'd summon skinks. I would kill them. Fail the priority roll. And just another game. I lose that one. He ends up, the game went too long, so my foot heroes die. I lose the game. Cody played a great one, did what he needed to do. Things just didn't pan out. We're 1-4. Game 6, we roll into Gitz again. And I know we're zooming through these. I'm going to film the next one. But this Gitz list, it was Scragrot, a bunch of MSU, like Rock Guts. There were some Boingrots. Kind of your standard array of good Gitz units. And it was a really good game until I got a teleport and then charged in and broke his Loon Shrine turn 2, which is really, really big into Gitz. And then turn 3, his Scragrot miscast, primal miscast, and blew himself up. And so we had a good game going, but with those 2 big swings happening, like then I could start killing units, they didn't come back to life, and we ended up pulling that one out. And that was game 4 on the day. That would be my one criticism of the event was 4 games in a day was a lot. I do that most Thursdays for like our shop days, Age of Sigmar, people come in and play. But a lot of people, like game 4, they were struggling. So if they split it out like 3 and 3, 3 is kind of the most you really want to do. But game 4, we pulled out a win. We've got a hope of like, man, we can go 4-4. We can do it. Got to win a couple games tomorrow. So we're going into day 3. All right, we're going into game 7. I'm 2-4 right now, so like the dream is there to finish 4-4. So we need to win this game. This is how we deployed, and importantly, my army is 12 drops. I've already said it, but most people are low drops. So he deploys, and I get to see his whole deployment, and he hard goes in that corner over there. And so I get to deploy, and I deploy outside of his ranges. So the Morghast can move 10. He can do a command to give him +3, so they can move 13. So I'm setting up 25 inches away to where he's not going to be able to charge me if he chooses to go first. But I also know armies like this, that it's 2 units of 4 Morghasts that just do 1 billion damage. Cavalos for scoring a battle tactic. Liege Cavalos buffs the Morghasts. Immortus Guard plus a Ossifector who also boosts the Morghasts. That's his grand strat to keep the Ossifector alive. The Immortus Guard or a bodyguard unit. And then Archon, just for good spells, also a very mobile unit for doing some damage. That style of list with 2 very elite hard hitters, they typically want to go second so that they can go second, double turn you, and then win the game right away. A lot of their games end fast, so I'm deploying with the notion that he's going to make me go first. I deploy in a way to encourage that. That's kind of what we want to do in this situation. Since he's deployed in the corner, I'm going to play kind of a risky play and try and pin him in there to keep him away from getting on this objective. And if I can keep him off of this objective too, great. And I think I can. So he does give me the first turn, and I deployed the Warbringer and my Gracier are outside of 30. So we go for magical dominance, and he's not going to be in unbind range. I've got a couple primal dice, so we get our Death Frenzy off. We get to put it on the Warbringer and this squad of 10 PCBs. We get our Rabid off on him to give him +1 to their attacks characteristics. We hit a Bless on him to give him a 6-up ward. And then we cast a Skitter Leap with the Gracier. And for me, again, this objective looks like I'm going to be able to keep it. So I'm going to Skitter Leap the Warbringer up here. I don't want to just send him into the Morghasts, because then he's definitely going to die. And with the Death Frenzy, like, I might be able to trade up good enough, but I know those Cavalos are the only thing in the game that's going to be able to get over here. It is also an easy battle tactic for the Bonereapers. So if I can get this pin off and kill the Cavalos, it's going to be very hard for him to score later on in the game. So we Skitter Leap the Warbringer here outside 9. Then we go into movement. We move up. We run the Clan Rats up onto the objective. We run the Gracier up here, just staying within 3 inches of him. Then I mosey Screech up, just touching the objective to be 5 bodies on. And we do the same thing with the Help Hit, moving up. So I've got most of the 20 Clan Rats on, plus 2 monsters on. Over here, we just run these Clan Rats up onto the objective. That's where they want to be. We run our heroes up just to be behind them. And then we're going to move the PCBs down this way. And they're going to end up hopping through this gnaw hole. We pop them out over here. And I'm just trying to overload this objective. These guys also have Death Frenzy off. So if I get a chance here, I may send them in, try and kill a bunch of more gas, Death Frenzy, kill some more. But we're just putting them on here, getting bodies on the objective, and trying to be a nuisance. That's end of movement phase, and so I'm looking at it, and I'm just going to go all in. Like, this is our strategy, we're going for it, so I go ahead and send the Grinder in, and we deep strike in these other 10 Plague Sensor Bearers. And the reason we're doing this is I have so many bodies on between the Clan Rats and the 2 bigs that even if he kills all of this, he's not going to take the objective. So I'm going to be able to keep him just scoring his battle tactic, and that's it for the turn. Then, like, if I get the priority, it's going to happen again. And, like, I think I can just keep him from scoring for the first 2 or 3 rounds from scoring max, which should be able to let me coast to win later on. But from here, we go into the charge phase. I roll these Plague Sensor Bearers first, fail. Roll again with the reroll, fail. Then I roll the Warbringer, and thank God we make it in. I also roll this squad of Plague Sensor Bearers, and I hit the charge to make them in. But they don't have Death Frenzy, they don't have any of the buffs. If I go in, I can kill 1 or 2 more gas. They're going to die instantly. So we're going with just bodies on the objective, trying to hold so we don't send him in. Warbringer pops his command for +1 hit, +1 wound, and crushes the Cavalos. They're dead. All right, so that's the turn. I score max. We go into the Bonereaper's turn. He casts some spells, gets his buffs off and stuff on him. Then we'll just go straight into movement. He moves these Immortus Guard up this way towards the Warbringer. I hit a pretty good redeploy and bounce away. He's looking over here. He knows he has to take objectives, so he's going to go ahead and full send the Morghasts. He sends 4 of them up this way. I know I'm using some Plague Drones. I didn't have another 4 Morghasts on hand, so sends them up this way. He's going to start trying to kill a bunch of stuff. Gets Archon here up in range to maybe get a Curse of Years next turn. And Leech Cavalos just goes up behind. This guy stays by his bodyguard unit. And that's the movement phase. Charges. He charges the Morghasts in. If they roll an 8, they get to fight first. And he gets it. These guys don't, but he's going to be able to fight with this one and then that one back to back. So it's not going to be super impactful. So we go into combat. He has to fight with these Morghasts first. He all-out attacks them and kills all of these Plague Sensor Bearers. But remember, these guys have Rabid, and they have Death Frenzy. So they fight back, and they kill the entire squad of Morghasts back. So this is huge. That's a 180-point unit of mine. trading up for 4 more gas, like that's a literal dream come true. Then next he fights with this squad of 4 more gas, because these had fight first, and in a regular combat he gets to go again, and kills all 10 of these. They don't have Death Frenzy, so they just die. So we lost some stuff, but the good news is he does not take that objective, so he's only scoring 2 this turn. So boom, we got an easy 3-point lead there. We're feeling pretty good. Priority roll coming up. If I get it, I can crush a bunch of stuff. He really needs the double to have a chance. We roll it, and he does get the double. He's trying to look at the board and say, I need to make a move over here to the right eventually. The only speed he has left are these Morghasts. And so in the movement phase, he ends up shifting these Morghasts over this way. The Liege Cavalos and Archon come up this way, trying to make a play on the objective. But again, since I have these 2 monsters touching, even if they kill all the clan rats, they're still gonna have to kill one of the monsters to take it back. So like, I'm in a pretty good spot here. The Immortus Guard push up towards the Warbringer as well. And then he goes for the charges. The Morghasts make it in, and again hit an 8, so they're gonna be fighting first. Then the Immortus Guard, he decides not to charge them in. If he does, his little hero will be at risk. And 4 Morghasts, like, they kill everything, so he's not really sweating it. Archon charges in the Clan Rats over here, stays outside of 3 of Screech. Liege Cavalos, same idea. Combat, the Morghasts fight first, because they hit the 8. They destroy the Warbringer easily, but the Warbringer fights on death and kills all 4 Morghasts. And so Bonereapers, they have a lot of healing, and they can regenerate small units, but the Morghasts don't come back to life any kind of way. So those kind of trades, it's the best case scenario for Skaven. Like, getting Death Frenzy off is what put me in this great position. If I didn't have Death Frenzy, like, boom, I just lost the game. But I did. I killed 8 Morghasts instead. And that, Skaven, that's like what we used to be excellent at. But now most armies, like, you kill a unit, half come back constantly. But with the Morghasts, those are dead. He ends up killing all the Clan Rats with Archon and the Liege Cavalos, but again, doesn't take the objective, so he only scores 2 again. So we're looking good. We go into my turn, bottom of 2. And then, just to make it quick, between spells and combats, Screech goes up, the Hell Pit goes up. We end up killing both Archon and the Liege. And so, at this point, we call the game, like, he doesn't have enough stuff left to kill, like Screech, or the Hell Pit will never die, and then he doesn't have enough bodies to take objectives, so we call the game there. And we're 3-4 going into the last game. We match up into Soulblight, but the dream of going 4-4 is still alive. So we're sitting at 3-4. Last game of the event, we can go 4-4, and I match into John Retka. And again, he's another Florida guy I know, but we had never played a game, so it was neat. At the event for Worlds, I ended up playing a couple guys from Florida that I know and just have never played a game with. But he's running Soulblight, and it's your standard Legion of Blood list, so like Neferata, Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon, 30 Skeletons, 20 Graveguard, and then some Direwolves. And we're on Spring the Trap, so there's only 3 objectives. And he makes me go first, which is what everybody wants to do. They want to get the double turn early and win the game. But I go push up on the objectives, and I end up deep striking in 10 Plague Censer Bearers left with the Warbringer and 20 Clan Rats. And the Plague Censer Bearers, I'm probably going to lose them if he hits a charge, but I'm planning on him pushing up because he has to go towards the objective. Then if I can win the priority, I can crash into him before he even gets a chance to get on the objective, and I'll help try and like outscore him for a couple turns. And then on the right-hand side, we had 20 Clan Rats, 10 Plague Censer Bearers, Screech, and kind of in the middle floating around was the Hell Pit. He rolled a little bit low on his movement. And so we go into his turn, and he pushes up. The Zombie Dragon doesn't quite make it into combat with the Hell Pit, and he's only going to take 1 objective, which is just the center, which I had left totally open. He moves the Skeletons up and the Direwolves up, but just nobody's in range of the objective to get on. And the only way he can take the objective is he's got 20 Graveguard that he put into the grave. So they can pop up, and then they got to be 9 inches away. He's just got to hit a normal 9-inch charge, and he ends up getting it. The 20 Graveguard crash in, clear the Plague Censer Bearers. Then he had some like Direwolves got on the objective as well, but those 20 Graveguard bodies getting on the objective was a really big deal. That's what got him the objective, so we're still staying even after 1. Roll the priority roll, I get it. My Warbringer's right there. He claps the 20 Graveguard off the board. We're doing all right. We score max. Hell Pit's just hanging out. I ended up getting Mystic Shield off on the Warbringer. And then Finest Hour going into his turn. He sends Neferata over that way with the 30 skeletons. The skeletons make a charge to take the objective. Neferata charges into my Warbringer, who's +2. She gets the roar off, so I can't be +3. And she turns off all wards, which is the Legion of Blood thing. So I need to roll some 4s to stay alive. I don't. She kills the Warbringer. That turn I tried to cast Dreaded Death Frenzy, didn't get it off, so didn't get to swing back. He's dead. Zombie Dragon just charged into the Hell Pit and hurt it, but didn't kill it, which is great for me. That means he's tied up. And we jump into a priority roll. We roll it. He gets the double turn. The Zombie Dragon kills the Hell Pit off. I roll to stay alive and don't. Then Neferata and the 30 skeletons, they continue clearing out that side of the board. So I think I ended up having like 3 or 4 clan rats left and a couple foot heroes. But then that was that. My turn 3, I end up just hitting the Zombie Dragon and Neferata with some spells and some prayers, do a little bit of chip damage, but still score, so we're doing fine. I get the double turn, and this was my chance. This was it. We were going to do it. We were kind of shooting for the double, and so I had positioned my Greyseer in Blizzard range of the Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon. I had Screech in range of Neferata to hit her with spells and then go finish her off. At this point, Neferata had like 5 or 6 wounds left. We hit her with an Arcane Bolt and end up doing a couple, so she's got like 4 wounds left. Cast the Blizzard on the Zombie Dragon and we get it. I think at this point he had like 10 to 12 wounds left. We roll the Blizzard, we leave him on 1 wound, which just a bummer. I've got that foot here, that Greyseer, I could charge into him to try and finish him off with the 1 wound, but he would just unleash hell and likely kill him. The Greyseer was already hurt too, so I couldn't do that. But I can kill Neferata. I've got Screech right there. She's not ethereal. We're in our Ren 3 damage 3 stance for our glaive. And so she's 4 wounds left. We charge in Screech. We fail the roar so she can all out defense. We swing in and we leave Neferata on 1 as well. So she gets to fight me back. She kills Screech right out, heals up, goes into his turn. Zombie Dragon charges in, heals up, and that ends up being the game. So that puts us at 3 and 5 for the event, which doesn't sound great, but all in all was pretty good. Like, I had a really good time playing the games, and there was 3 games in the mix where like I lost by 1 or 2 points, and in all of the games with my list, there were opportunities where I could have won, and they didn't shake out. And that's all you could really ask for. Like, if I got into a matchup versus the 8 Alopex Sharks and just got blasted off the board, I could say, well, that one, like, there was just no hope. But in all the games I played, like, there was hope, there were opportunities, and sometimes you're going to hit them and go 8-0, and sometimes you're not, and that just happened to be this one where we didn't. And then a quick shout out to Games Workshop. Thank you guys. This was the coolest event I've ever been to. The whole idea of winning a golden ticket at an event and going to the World Championships, just super cool. From what I understand, they're doing it again next year, so everybody get out there, try and win some events. And they had a really good TO staff, like James and Gareth, and like they had AOS coach was there doing all the judging, so it was nice meeting him. And then Matt from the MetaWatch videos was there, and it was really cool just watching him go from table to table and like intently watch the games, and like he wanted to see the outcomes of different matchups, and he was like going around and asking people, if you could change one thing about the game, what would you like to change? And seeing that the team behind the game actually cares about the game makes you feel really good about the state of the game. So that was really neat to see. So that's that. We went 3 and 5. We'll try to do better next year. If you guys ever need any models, check us out at warpfireminis.com. Thanks.